welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Turkish Bobby Trippett.
And I'm Michael Tanner.
And today we're talking about 1979's The Return of Superman.
You'll believe a Ken can fly.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
I said it, knocker. I don't know.
Spooky got no real rhythm.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
This is Los Angeles.
How the hell is women's live? I'm horny.
And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
It's for jacking off. Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.
So guys, here we're talking about The Return of Superman, also called, and no, probably people are tuning in going, what the hell are they talking about a Superman movie for? And that's not the year it came out. Of course it's not. We are talking about Turkish Superman.
Why?
Well, because we have a Patreon. And we make the foolish choice of allowing Patreon members of a certain tier to pick whatever episodes they want us to cover and pick what movies they want. And this is from our friend Huey Chambers, and Huey has picked Turkish Superman.
I gotta say, if I may, Bobby Trippett for the defense, this is an exploitation film.
Yes, it is, in the true sense that this is a Turkish film from the 1970s. What you're telling me 1979, I'm calling bullshit on that. The quality on this one looks way older than that. But
No, it would have to be 1979, Mike.
why is that?
Why? Because the director of this film watched a movie in 1978 and then shot a movie in a week.
Yes, that's right. That's right. He shot this movie in a week, apparently, with, his handheld camcorder he had lying around the house or something. I guess his Super 8 he had, and called it a movie. But this is apparently what they would do over in Turkey quite a bit, is that they would just... Turkish cinema mostly comprised of stealing Western ideas and then just making their own versions of it.
Certainly, famously, there's a Turkish Star Wars that makes the rounds as far as bootleg tape trading goes.
There's a Turkish First Blood.
Now, do we know why this was such a thing? Like, I get making stealing the idea and kind of riffing on it, but just to remake Western movies. Were these movies not allowed to be seen in Turkey?
No, I think they were allowed to be seen.
I imagine it was easier to put out a cheap and dirty knockoff over there than to secure the rights to screen the big Hollywood ones.
Now, I think that it was probably still relatively accessible to get a big Hollywood movie because you do have foreign distribution, I think. And I did think it's a thing, right? But I think it's more that a lot of these countries you'll see when they make their own bootleg versions of movies is one, it's in their language. Two, it has their actors. It's just fun. They would do this stuff all the time. I mean, Turkey's not the only country that was doing this.
Certainly not. And, I respect it on paper.
Yeah, the idea that, we'll make our own Superman. However, there are copyrights and everything like that. And, I guess they don't really give a shit over in Turkey. You can just steal all the music and iconic imagery you want, and nobody will care. And then the other thing, too, is I don't think anybody would ever see it. So it's not like anybody over in the States was seeing Turkish Superman.
That's true.
I'm sure. And I mean, it's not like it's probably a big money maker. I'm assuming this was just in a few theaters around there. And I can't imagine it being that big.
No, certainly not.
So Turkish Superman, Bobby, I'm going to get into the crew. But if you have any more background you want to mention.
Yeah, I know. I did a little bit of digging. I mean, we could start getting into the crew, and I'll just add it where I can. I mean, we've already established before that this was shot in 1 week after the director, whose name is, what's his last name? It's Kunt Tulgar. That's Kunt.
Yeah, I really love how you pronounce that. Really love that.
Well,
you saved yourself there.
I am a gentleman. Let's get into his background a little bit. Do you have any on this, Mike?
He only has 6 directing credits. He made a movie in 1974 called Tarzan the Mighty Man, which I'm sure was based off another American movie he saw. And then all the other movies he made after this were just Turkish films with no description.
I can give you one little bit here, actually. He did a film earlier than even that. When he was a small child, he actually starred in a movie that translates to Tarzan in Istanbul in 1952, which was a Tarzan Turkish knockoff done by his own father, where he played young Tarzan.
Oh, it's a family business.
It totally is.
The Kunt family business.
You flash forward to the 70s, and he's in Paris with his family, and they decide to go watch a movie, and they see Richard Donner's 78 Superman movie. And he goes, well, shit, I could do that.
Takes a week off.
Takes a week off.
He definitely did. He had 1 week and pretty much the money he had in his wallet at the time. So he had to figure out a way to do a lot of this stuff. He had a lead actor in mind, so he called up his friend. Mike, you want to take it from there?
Well, his friend, as I have it written down, his stage name is Typhoon Demir, who plays the character of Typhoon/Superman in this movie, and he only has 3 credits for acting.
Weird.
But according to the director, it's because it's actually just a friend of his who's not an actor at all. And at the time, he was doing military service, but apparently he got permission to just leave for a week and shoot the movie.
It's because he lied about why he was leaving. He said there's an emergency, I have to go, and he went away for a week, and when he came back, he said, I'm sorry, my father had been in an accident, and his superior officer told him, it's all right, we already know that you shot a Superman movie.
Because it's already out in cinemas.
Yeah, he's like, everybody knows, word gets around fast.
So yes, then Typhoon Demir became a national treasure over in Turkey for his role as Superman.
Sure did.
And to be fair, he's not terrible.
Which is amazing because he's not a trained actor. He's working for free, which, by the way, as we get into the film, when we do, is why he doesn't do a lot of very physically demanding things in this film, because he ain't getting paid anyway, and he's going to get back to the military.
Yeah, because this is a lot of like Superman never really hits anybody. They hit him and he does one punch. It's just a lot of it.
And his punch is almost more of a clothesline than a punch.
Yeah, he just kind of raises it up and somebody falls over.
Now, there had been other Turkish Superman movies made by other directors, but what Kunt wanted to do to make this stand out was, much like the Richard Donner one, he wanted to make his special by showing Superman flying.
Oh, yeah, and boy, does he ever.
He had a hell of a way of doing this. What he does is he goes to his daughter and goes, let me borrow one of your Ken dolls. Legitimately.
God.
And so he takes this Ken doll, and then he goes to his wife and says, can you sew a tiny Superman costume for this Ken doll? She goes, yeah, I'll see what I can do. And she makes a little Ken doll. And what he ends up doing is he dangles it in front of a fan to make the cape billow. And he puts a big piece of tracing paper up behind it and then projects video clips onto that tracing paper.
Wow.
And that's how he creates the phenomenal flying sequences in this.
Well, I'd say almost as good as the Donner.
I mean, it's hard to tell which is which, quite frankly.
I mean, Bobby, I know you're going to be defending this the whole episode, this movie.
Not as much as you think.
But, man, this, to me, it's a 63 minutes or 68 minutes, this movie? Thank God. It was a hard watch, man. And I did this in one sitting, and it felt like an eternity.
It's the longest hour of your life.
Yeah, I paused it at one point because I was like, oh, it's got to be almost done, right? And it was only like 33 minutes in. I was like, oh my God.
You're about to just text us and cancel for the show?
Honestly, and I mean this sincerely, while the end result is, none of us would say that the end result was any good. I do respect the hustle.
Yeah.
Anyone who's had no money and tried to make a movie, this is what it feels like. This feels, you'd believe that some guy you knew in high school made this.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
This Kunt had he had access to the same resources that we did in high school. With that in mind, I think he did as well as any of us would have.
Yeah.
Only he was like our age now and not the age we would have been back then.
Now, you guys had mentioned, you said, hey, Typhoon did pretty good this movie. I think it's less that he did good and more that everything around him is so shitty. From the camera work to this mise en scène, whatever you want to call it, that's in this movie, the set design, the other actors, the props, that he kind of, by default, is the best thing in the movie.
Oh, certainly, because...
Oh, I don't think he's the best thing in this movie.
Oh.
I think he does all right because he's not terrible, but I don't think any of the actors are terrible. Well, I think all the acting appears to be mostly good. I just think everything else around it is
the dirt worst.
Awful.
For sure.
Well, the other thing too is though they didn't record any audio, so you don't really know if the acting's good. I mean, you're looking at the facials, I guess.
Yes, much like a few of the other movies we've covered lately. Lady Terminator being one that comes to mind immediately. Everything was put in post. There was no dialogue.
Yeah.
This is done in the believe it or not, the Marvel fashion, where we got all the images down and then someone came in and filled in the dialogue.
By the way, I have a theory about this movie where it kind of fits in with a recent Marvel movie I saw, which is I finally saw Spider-Verse.
Oh, really?
Okay.
And do you think that this Superman is just one of those like alternate dimension Supermans?
Oh yeah, this is definitely one of the 52.
I kept thinking that because I just seen that Spider-Verse movie, and I was like, watching this, I go, oh shit, maybe this is just a Turkish Superman, just different dimension Superman.
And you know what's funny? With a lot of the comic creators who like to wink at the screen and add little Easter eggs and stuff like that, you may not believe this, but a lot of people working in the comics industry are big fucking nerds. And I'm amazed that there hasn't been at least a cameo, some kind of nod to Turkish Superman somewhere in a comic book.
Well, I heard the big reveal here, Bobby, for the next Zack Snyder movie, if he was going to make it, was he was going to put in Turkish Superman in the new Superman movie.
It wouldn't be, it couldn't be any worse.
He was going to join Suicide Squad.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, what Bobby's saying makes sense. Like, Japanese Spider-Man has been worked into the Marvel comics.
Certainly.
Like, and apparently he was at one point going to be in Spider-Verse.
That's what I was about to say. In the upcoming sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, they're going to include Spider-Man.
Huh. We're still waiting for DC to get a sense of humor and put Turkish Superman in something. So wonder if it'll ever happen.
I think it's time. I think it's also time to mention that Typhoon, unfortunately, only lived to be 44 years old.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
And died in the early aughts, I believe, around 2003. I didn't find out what the cause of death was, but he just unfortunately didn't stick around very long to get the appreciation that I'm sure would come to him now. The director, Kunt Tulgar, is still around and still very much desires to make another film.
Yeah, all right.
So
he could just grab his video camera again. What's he waiting for?
Like, shit, dude, give him a cell phone. Yeah. Let's see what he can do. That shit's got filters on it.
What?
Now.
They don't have fucking iPhones over in Turkey? Just grab something, man.
They have Turkish iPhones.
So I also have the screenwriter for this. His name is, man, I'm going to butcher this, but at least I didn't have to say the name of the director because, Bobby, I have to say, you really expertly handled that name.
Thank you. I am a professional.
I was sitting here going like, God damn it, I'm going to have to say that word. And it's, goddamn. But I don't. So, Nezdet Talk.
Nailed it.
Thank you. The screenwriter of this movie, he only has 3 writing credits. This was his first, but unfortunately not the last. He wrote some other Turkish productions, nothing you've ever heard of, and nothing I could pronounce. So we'll move on. However,
I'm actually shocked that there was a screenwriter for this that wasn't Kunt.
Yeah, me too, Tanner. Yeah. He did have 146 editing credits, though.
Holy
he
shit.
has been an editor in Turkey for decades, and his most recent project was in 2014. So he has worked steadily.
He's still going.
They switched him to the right part of filmmaking. They go, no, with the writing. We'll keep you on post-production. So thanks, Nezdet.
Yeah, just for a moment, I found a quote where director Kunt Tulgar says, our Superman was a little shy, not exactly the type for action films. He didn't want to play in dangerous scenes, so we had to find different ways.
Jesus.
So literally, our lead actor kept going, I'm not doing that. And they had to figure out some other thing to do to get him out of that scene.
That explains a lot, actually, now that we're going to this movie.
Yeah.
So all he was really willing to do was stand around being giant Ted Raimi.
The other cast, they're Turkish actors. Like Tanner says, nobody's bad. They're all in a bunch of Turkish films you'd never heard of, and I'm not going to try to pronounce. So if you want to,
unless you're one of our Turkish listeners, then you know these guys real well.
And they are fucking banging their heads against the wall right now. So pissed off that I'm mispronouncing everything. And Typhoon is a national treasure over there. We're not giving him the respect he deserves. Same with Mr. Kunt. There is a fun piece of trivia about this movie, Tanner, before we get into it, is that apparently the director, Kunt Tulgar, had the Superman, Typhoon, rip open his shirt, right, to unveil the Superman logo, and apparently Typhoon himself was responsible for re-sewing the buttons on his shirt for the next shot. And after take 4... After the 4th take, he said, I ain't going to do that shit anymore. And they moved on. Apparently, Kunt says that the kryptonite is made out of plexiglass, and he still has it. So good for him. It's like his own little piece of the aggro crag right there.
I honestly thought it was probably just a carved piece of soap.
No, apparently plexiglass, Tanner. So somebody actually crafted that. So, guys, the movie starts, okay, with,
Christmas decorations.
yeah, what the fuck? I'm already pissed at this point.
It's a hell of a start. It's just like a black tarp and some silver Christmas balls hanging to represent the galaxy around Krypton. And I have a quote from our director about this.
Oh, let's hear it. What does Kunt have to say?
He says, "It was a mistake. I was just trying to find the easiest way. I could find 1,000 ways to do something like that, but that was the easiest. I didn't care about anything else. When I watch it today, I feel very ashamed."
Yeah, well, for fuck's sake, if you want to do space and you don't have space, just point the camera in the sky at that point, Kunt. Like, this is horrible.
Yeah, just film some stars. Actual stars.
This is like Mystery Science Theater when it opens.
He used every Christmas ornament, including the ones that don't look like stars.
One of them said "ho ho ho" on it.
Bobby, there was one that had, like, stuff on it. When I'm watching, I'm going, really?
Well, that's the Christmas planet.
Oh,
That's where Christmas Superman comes from.
damn it. And it's doing the background for Superman and VO. You know, it's just, yeah.
Oh, to be clear, listeners who haven't seen this, we use John Williams' score in this movie.
Fuck yeah, we do. And we use quite a few songs in this movie. Not all from John Williams. But no, we see this bed sheet with Christmas ornaments on it and the background for Superman. And then, boom, right there, the Superman logo comes on screen. They just straight up stole it.
Hell yeah. Well, this is Superman.
Oh my God, by the way. This is when I wrote, even the credits are shitty.
A rose by any other name would still look as janky.
This is like Black Devil Doll level of bad for the credits.
Oh, I understood that he was going to fight Black Devil Doll in the second one.
Oh, man.
It was going to be his Mixus-Bitlick.
Turkish Superman seems like something that would have been in that Quad Ed Zone book.
It's one of the tales.
Yeah, and his mom just skipped over it. She's like, no, not this one. It's too shitty for even us. So then the credits, I wrote, yeah, they're shitty. Everything is shitty. And then we come to a man named Typhoon comes home.
Hell of a name.
And here's the thing is that he lives with his parents, although he is, he's supposed to be right out of school.
Yeah.
I think he took his time.
Yeah.
He had a travel year.
a couple of them.
This dude's 28 years old.
Yeah.
Can we talk about his sweet ass glasses though?
Look, yeah.
Oh
He's
my
wearing some
God.
Sally Jesse Raphael, like massive frames.
Yeah, so I wrote, is this the only pair of Clark Kent glasses they could find in Turkey?
Yes.
Because they don't look like Clark Kent glasses. They look like...
Like a bug?
Yeah, they look like... Do you remember those like old Navy commercials with that old lady?
Yes.
They used to wear those weird glasses. That's what they look like. This giant ass... They cover his whole face.
I mean, to their credit, and I don't want to always be the guy defending this, it very much makes it look like an old comic book.
You're a real Turkish apologist on this episode, I think.
I always have been, and now I get to come out.
Do you have family from Turkey or something?
I may have. I feel like this spoke to a very deep part of me that's been around a long time.
I feel like this whole episode, Tanner and I are just going to be trashing this movie. You're going to be like, to give him credit, Kunt had something going here.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I respect the hustle. Kunt's my boy, man.
So he comes home and his mom's like, dinner's ready and everything. He's like, great. And then he goes in a room and he's like, oh, hey, Dad, how you doing? He goes, I want you to sit down, son, because I have a secret I've always wanted to tell you, and now's the time because you've just graduated from school.
And the way he presents this is great because he goes, well, school's over. You got to start thinking about what you want to do with your life. He goes, I want to be a journalist. And his dad's like, you're not our real son. And I'm like, well, holy shit, hold on. Like...
This is really funny to me, though, is that Typhoon says to his parents, well, his mom says something about how we found you in a rock garden.
No, he says, we found you in a rocket-like machine in our garden.
Okay.
Like they looked outside the window and went, fuck is that? And there's like a rocket that's stuck in the garden.
There's a baby in it. And then Typhoon says, he goes, well, I expected this all along. And I was planning to ask one day if I was related to you.
I was feeling this But you were so tender to me that I felt like your real son.
We should say, though, that he is 7 feet tall and the rest of his family is like 5 feet tall. So there's something a little off, right?
And you know what? It's relatable. Who among us hasn't looked at our folks and gone, well, surely I didn't come from this?
All the time, right?
See?
Mom says, well, we have something for you. And she goes into a storage box and pulls out this green gem that looks like something you'd get at a carnival.
But the music sting would make you believe she pulled out a fucking chainsaw.
Yes. It does look, I don't know, it does look to me, guys, like a piece of the aggro crag.
I thought it was a bar of soap.
Tanner, I believe that. It could be bar soap.
Kryptonian soap.
When Irish Spring went for the Krypton look.
Yeah.
So then there's lots of zooms, and then it glows in his hand. So Kunt was able to get the glow effect going, at least, right?
Kunt was able to get a flashlight and shine it up through the soap.
Tanner, give him some credit.
Hey, I'll give him all the credit for getting a flashlight.
Yeah, Tanner, how many fucking Superman movies have you made, huh? Thought so.
No, but I have made a Wizard of Oz one, so I feel like a kinship there.
So you know all about shining a flashlight under a green rock.
So then Typhoon excuses himself. He's like, oh, man, this is a lot. I need to go to my room. And so there's something too, like he goes in his room, right? And he lays on the bed and he looks at that glowing stone from the gift shop, or it might be soap. And then this strange voice tells him, it goes, follow the stone. This will lead you to where you need to go. And then he immediately gets up and starts packing his suitcase.
Because who are you to argue with it?
Yeah, he gets up, starts packing his suitcase. And this is when I read, I go, what do you mean the stone's going to guide you? Like, does this thing have like a GPS or something? Like, is it going to tell you where to go? Because I don't see any directions. I don't know if it's like shining a light, like some sort of RPG game or something, like it's going to tell you where to go.
I like the idea that he selected a perk to be able to like get a waypoint for his current quest line.
Yes. So then, yeah, he goes and tells his parents, he's like, well, I guess I'm going to go. And I'm like, he didn't even eat dinner.
No.
Dinner's...
Also, remember, they show him packing his suitcase.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Like, it's literally 3 minutes of him packing his suitcase, putting on his coat, all in one take, with the suitcase and all the actual items off camera, and then him just walking out.
And you guys... I mean, that's significant. Let's not run right past that. Got it in one.
Oh, God. You know what, though? Here's the thing, Bobby. It wasn't in one. It was probably take 15.
And each
You don't know
time,
that,
Typhoon
Mike?
had to re-sew the buttons.
Yeah. Put the zipper back on that suitcase. Every take.
I'm not doing that. Okay, we're going to figure a way around it.
So then he tells his parents he's leaving. Doesn't even stay for dinner, which I was like, what the fuck, man? Because he walks in and he's like, God, I'm starving. Thank God you cooked dinner, Mom. And then they drop this heavy shit on him and he's like, well, I guess I got to go now. I can't even stay for dinner. Oh, it's all
ruined.
right. Mom packed him some for the road. But what she's packed his dinner in is like, I don't know, something you get from the butcher or something. She's just like wrapped it in paper.
Yeah, well, he is an alien, so like she's probably like, yeah, he can eat this raw meat.
Turns out she's been feeding him raw meat his whole life.
That's where his true superpowers come from.
Ever since they found him in the garden.
And so the parents, there's a real tender scene, Bobby, which I'm sure they got it in one, as the parents are crying as their only son leaves the house and walks into an empty field that I write, we never seem to cut from.
No.
Because it just goes on and on and on.
Runtime.
I mean, even on 1.5 speed, this is a 2-minute scene of a man walking through a field. So finally, Typhoon has apparently followed that rock to a big cave now.
And when he enters this cave, he starts hearing this like splooshing sound, like someone's trying to unclog a toilet.
And he walks in there, and then all of a sudden this voice tells him, it goes, throw the stone. And he by the way, throws it. He tosses it, the wussiest little toss, right? He just goes, into a corner. I would have loved it if the voice said, no, I said throw it.
Pick it back up.
You think that was another one where Kunt's like, can you throw it, Typhoon? He goes, I ain't doing that shit.
Got it in one.
He's like, I'm really regretting hiring my good friend to be in the movie.
Yeah, maybe I should have paid him a little bit.
Because do you think it is kind of like a Sam Raimi type thing where it's like, look, I'm going to get Bruce Campbell in the movie because I can do whatever shit I want to him?
Yeah, I do think it was.
So he's like, I'm going to get Typhoon because, that guy will do anything. And then he shows up on set and he's like a freaking prima donna.
And so what happens when he throws the rock, sort of?
Well, he kind of just tosses this thing in the corner, and then smoke comes up, and there's a man that calls himself Superman who appears.
Yeah, the interaction is interesting. He says, I am Superman. I come from Krypton. And he responds, what's a Superman? He goes, you are.
Okay.
And he starts explaining what abilities you have by being Superman. And I have this written down. The abilities that Superman has are the genius of King Solomon, Hercules' might, Atlas's patience, Zeus's health, Achilles' courage, and Mercury's speed.
Where have I heard that before?
Shazam. Excuse the fuck out of you, Turkish Zor-El, who's also Superman, I guess. Because it turns out, our writer-directors duo, not entirely clear on which guy's which.
You know what, Bobby? Nobody cares.
Well, I read in the trivia that although this is Superman, Kunt was actually a big fan of the Shazam Captain Marvel movie serials. So the plot
From
is
the
actually
40s.
ripped off from one of those.
Oh, definitely. In the old Adventure serial, which, by the way, there's a very nice Blu-ray of that put out by Kino Lorber that has like historian, film critic commentaries on every episode. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, even the villain who's called the Scorpion in that has the same like evil plot. This is just when the writer was trying to come up with something, he even lifted a different movie for that.
I have a serious question. So am I to believe that Superman was hiding in a green stone in some guy's room for like 30 years?
No, he was hiding in this cave.
Well, he threw the stone, right? And he came out like a genie.
Well, you know, the soap activates the cultures in the cave.
Okay, because I'm like, so Superman's a genie now too?
Yeah, why not?
Surely.
Yeah, is this how you get around copyright stuff? It's like, no, our Superman's a genie. Also, we call ourselves Supermen, not Superman.
The abilities spell out Shazam, but that's a reference to the genie that Sinbad played.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's why no one remembers it. It was over in Turkey.
So then, yeah, he also tells him, he goes, hey, by the way, that stone you toss like a wuss, apparently that's kryptonite, and you got to get away from that stuff, because if you go near it, then you're going to be powerless.
And I know you've been carrying it around and talking to it, and you've been fine, but from this point forward, it fucks your shit up.
And he goes, so wait, if I don't have that thing around me, I'll be a Superman? And he goes, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, and then just starts flying through the air.
Yeah, so Jor-El explodes. Just straight up goes boom, and then our very next shot is Typhoon already in his baggy Superman costume, taking a leap, and then we get to see Super Ken for the first time.
You know, this is, by the way, I was happy about this. I'm like, thank God I don't need to sit through another hour-long origin story.
Oh, I know. That was plenty for me. Even though it was more or less Shazam's origin story, I'll still take it. I like Shazam better anyway. What's great about Super Ken flying over this stock footage on the tracing paper is it's not just aerial shots of famous locations in Europe, but it's also somebody's vacation footage.
yes, there's a family on a boat that are waving at the camera.
Like the footage looks like if there was like Turkish Wheel of Fortune and this was the prize package.
You think he's just like, how'd that get in there? God damn, leave it in.
Oh, Jesus Christ, my parents are in this movie now.
Maybe that was it, Bobby, because I did hear for one scene that he used his house, which maybe was his parents' house. Do you think they're like, well, you can use the house, honey, but you got to put us in the movie. You got to use our vacation footage. We want to be in it. And so he's got them waving in the background, and once he's like, there, fine, you're there. Yeah, he's flying around. Ken Doll's flying around. He already knows all the Superman powers because he ditched that Krypton. He's ready to go, right?
He's got it, man. Shazam.
He's Rhino hard.
He is. He's hashtag Rhino Hard. This one is definitely Superman blue.
Getting Rhino Hard in the Superman outfit would be a little rough, guys. There's not much room for things to move around down there.
You know that yellow belt starts riding up on you.
Somebody's like, Superman, why are you wearing your cape on the front?
Yeah, don't worry about it, kid.
So then, yeah, I write it by this point. I go, well, that's the real music. Holy shit, that's the
damn.
Somebody get John Williams on the phone.
Fuck me, this must be Superman. Can't argue with that.
Something is happening. People just got off a plane. Holy
Damn
shit.
right. He knows the rules.
So some government bigwigs are on the news, right? Basically, that's what it is. It's like these guys walk off the plane and they're on the news. They're like, hey, these guys are really important. They found a way to harness the power of Krypton stones. And the next thing we see... Now, I don't know if you're going to refer to this guy as... let me explain the scene, and I'm going to tell you what I called this character for the rest of the movie. We cut to two dudes talking about how some machine they got on a desk where if you put Krypton into it, it can turn any metal into gold. So I call this man Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay.
I'm not going to argue about that one, but okay.
We're going to call Turkish Lex Luthor Rumpelstiltskin.
In Turkish Superman, Superman fights Rumpelstiltskin.
That's his Mixie-Spitlick.
It's very weird. And so I just write, okay, so the plot of this movie is that he's wanting to find a Krypton stone so he could be the richest man in the world because he could turn anything into gold.
And for any of our listeners who haven't seen this movie yet, Mike's not fucking up that term. Like, it's not called kryptonite in this movie. Both the planet and the rock are both called Krypton.
Got to dodge that copyright, my friend.
Just one step ahead of it.
You come after me, Mr. Detective Comics. We're using Krypton. So then I write in my notes,
Action
I go...
Comics, Mike, for God's sake.
Oh, that's true. So I write in my notes at this point, I go, what the hell is going on? Because the next thing I see is Typhoon's at an office. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. The last thing we saw was him leaving his parents' house. What is this time jump? All of a sudden, he's already a reporter. And not only is he like working for the press, he's like middle management.
I mean, did you want this movie to be longer, Mike? Just go with it.
Yeah, he's a high-ranking reporter at the Daily Dunya. So this place is called Dunya, Dunya.
Yeah,
that's our daily planet. This is the Daily Dunya.
His Lois Lane is called. How do you pronounce it? Alev or Olive?
Olive,
like olive oil,
like olive.
Oh, Popeye!
Yeah, so there you go. No, it's more like a Popeye thing. See, it's not Lois Lane. Ours is Olive.
Oh,
like the oil. So Olive is leaving, and she's like, I'm going to go to my father's farm to pick up his notes about how to make Krypton stones.
and he invites himself. He's like, hey, can I come? She's like, no, I'm going to my father's farm.
There is a reason that he invites himself, though.
Surely.
Because he's concerned. He's like, that's some important shit, right there. And like, we got to make sure... that your father keeps his notes on how to make these stones at his farm. Are you sure you're going to be safe and everything? And she's like, I'll be fine.
And so his next offer is, do you want to take my car? And I'm like, why? And where do you get a car?
Well, that's true. Does he even have a car?
I mean, this is a time jump.
There is a point in this movie where Superman drives a car, and it really pissed me off. So he does have a car at some point. But then he does say something about how, she shouldn't go alone, take my car, no. And she's like, just leave me alone, Typhoon. And so she leaves, basically.
Yeah, he's laying it on a little thick with his Lois. But meanwhile, he senses a shady janitor in the hallway listening.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So, Bobby, he comes out, and it's just a janitor.
That's it. Yeah.
Like, there's a scene where he walks outside to a hallway, looks, and then the guy sweeps again. That'll never be followed up on.
He outsmarted Superman.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm just a janitor. So he moves on, and Typhoon calls up his dude, Nasi, and he tells him, I need you to follow Olive to her father's farm. And Nasi's like, well, hold on, give me a couple minutes. I got to finish this article I'm working on. And he goes, I'll finish it for you. And he goes, you don't even know what I'm writing. He says, well, it's probably that old lubricant story. Like, what? What the hell kind of paper is the Daily Dunya?
I think we know.
Yeah, he's working the back page. That's for sure.
The old lubricant story. God damn, man.
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing at that because I think I missed that when I was watching it. But damn.
Dude, times are tough in Turkey, dude.
That old lubricant story.
Yeah, times are tough for that paper and printed media in general, even back then, apparently. I love that implies that Nasi keeps releasing the same article.
I just feel like at some point the paper's owner, Mr. Dunya, is coming in. He's like, look, guys, the press is down, okay? So we need to, unfortunately, combine with the sex industry. So, Nasi, you're on lubricant duty.
We need to start writing articles that people care about. Lubricant, lubricant, lubricant.
I'm going to need 500 words on lubricant by tomorrow, Nasi. So get typing. At this point, Typhoon is just really like annoying.
He's a terrible person so far.
Yeah, he's just like, let me do that for you. They're like, no, take my car. No, let me write that story for you. Just leave me the fuck alone.
We got this, dude. It's fine.
So then we see the next thing is Rumpelstiltskin and his assistant. And this is insane to me, guys. So maybe you will know what happens, Bobby. But Rumpelstiltskin basically tells his assistant, he goes, we got to go capture that Elev girl because she's going to go to get the formula from her dad's house.
Yeah, because the dad has the real formula that they need, the mathematical formula to figure out how to use the Krypton stone to power the gold machine. And only her dad has that formula.
How does he know that she left the office?
The sweeping guy.
Yeah, that sneaky janitor.
Damn it, Typhoon, you missed it. You were too busy shouting about lubricant. So he tells his henchmen to go follow her and, and sort things out. We got to stop him. Rough him up. Get that formula. And then we go back to Typhoon. He's following through on his promise. He's going to finish that article for his boy Nasi. And he's sitting there typing on a typewriter with his mind.
Oh, I hated that.
It's not one of Superman's powers or Shazam's.
I mean, what the hell is this? This is like the Zoobly Zoo typewriter.
Oh, man. Is this a shared universe?
Yeah, this is some sort of hellscape. These people, there's some sort of limbo that all these Superman people exist in. I'd believe it. I fucking hated this. This pissed me off so much is that Superman's apparently using his powers to type.
Right out in the open, too.
But to think about it on a practical level, Kunt hung Christmas decorations to tell us that we were in space. The effect of the telepathic or telekinetic typewriter actually works. It's a real effect.
Certainly.
Yeah, no, it works.
I'm sure it's not that hard to do, but for the level of technology and effort that is put into this movie, he took the time to fake telepathic typewriting.
And that's the thing with this movie. Literally every scene you have to think, okay, you have to look around your own room and go, how would I do that right now?
Exactly.
I think that really is a testament to the raw talent of Kunt Tulgar.
Oh God, Stug, you got. Oh my God.
I think you're really selling him short.
Yeah, I mean, he made a movie, so what can we say, right? None of us have done that, except for Tanner. Apparently, made a Wizard of Oz movie.
My family made a Wizard of Oz movie when I was a baby. We also made the Pied Piper.
Oh,
Dude,
okay.
That's pretty cool.
I played a Munchkin and I played a mouse.
So you would also just take existing properties.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So is there a tannish Superman?
Oh boy.
No.
Well, I
There.
think we need to make one.
Don't be ridiculous.
He couldn't get the typewriter effect, so he gave up.
That's where we stopped. We're like, we can't do Superman's telepathic typewriting scene. Let's just give up.
So then Olive gets in her car, right, to go to her dad's house, and she's followed by this huge truck, and then she's held up by some guys on a road with another truck with a ramp in it. They're like, all right, drive in.
Yeah, they just have her drive into the back of a truck.
And I do love this. So Nasi follows her, right? And instead of doing anything, he just gets stuck behind a truck and starts honking.
That's why they followed her in a dump truck, because it was a large item that would block the view of what they're doing. So from Nasi's point of view, she just disappears. He doesn't know what happened.
But he does know what happened because he follows the truck.
Yeah, that's a bit of a plot hole, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Because the truck pulls away and he follows it immediately and knows that she's in it.
Well, Nasi is an investigative journalist.
It's true. And he's on the, he's their best. He's their best man. He's on the lubricant beat.
And you need to be the best if you're going to be on the lubricant beat.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, that's a slippery thing.
I was waiting for that. I really was.
You can't just wait for it, Mike. You got to reach out and take it.
Sometimes you have to force it.
When it cuts between Nasi following the truck and that shot of the truck, I thought at first that was somebody's zipper. Because
I don't remember seeing that in the last moment.
It shows canvas, right? Like it shows like a cloth, right? And with a hole in it. And I'm like, I don't want to know what's coming out of there because something starts peering out. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, it's the back of the truck. But at first I thought it was his pants. I mean, I know he's on the lubricant beat, but Jesus, man. So the truck pulls away. He follows it. And then do you even remember how he loses the truck? Because it looks to me like he just gives up.
He just gets stuck in traffic, it looks like.
Yeah, and this is a big-ass truck. You're not going to lose it. It's like a moving truck. And then somehow he just goes, fuck it. And then pulls to the side of the road and calls Typhoon. And he's like, hey, yeah, that truck just vanished, man.
So this looks like a job for Turkish Superman.
And so he becomes Turkish Superman right in the office, by the way.
Before we get to him becoming Superman. So when Olive is in the back of the truck, one of the goons comes up to her and he says they're gonna intubate her.
I think it's a loss in translation, man.
Yeah, I hope so. Otherwise, those villains are real fucked up.
Man. So Nasi already knows about those guys from the research he's been doing.
You know, that's why he knew that truck. That's why he followed the truck, man. Even though he didn't see it, he knew they were bad guys.
he could just tell. There was a certain way that the light hit it.
As Bobby would say, there's some slippery fellows.
It's true. And they tried to give him the slip, but he's too good.
So then Nasi's like, yeah, I couldn't find that. And he goes, da-da-da-da-da, become Typhoon, become
That's
Superman.
Popeye, Mike. He's got to save Olive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to save Olive Oil.
Oh, man. At this point, would you have even been shocked if he just suddenly squished a can of spinach into his mouth?
Well, at one point, he becomes James Bond.
We'll get to that.
I mean, we'll get to But no, so Typhoon, apparently he wears his Superman outfit under his regular clothes all day.
Well, I mean, so does Superman. That's
every superhero. We know that. That's a non-issue. Every superhero.
But you know what
that.
Superman does is he has the courtesy to use a phone booth, right?
not him. Typhoon goes in the hallway.
Yeah, he just, while he's running out, he just rips his clothes off like, yeah, fuck it up, Superman. I don't care if anybody knows.
Yeah, buttons be damned.
And I write, Superman goes to the rescue, and my God, does it take forever.
Well, he's got to find her first.
And you say finding her, we just cut between the same 5 shots for like... like, it goes like this, okay? I'm going to put it in your minds, viewers, because I don't recommend watching this. Superman's flying through the air, through somebody's vacation footage. Cut to the back of a truck, where Olive Oil is sitting there, confused. Cut to shaky-ass footage in front of the truck for the POV of it just swerving around a road. Now Superman's standing on a road. Now take those 4 shots, and just repeat them for about 4 minutes. That's what happens. And then for no reason at all, Typhoon immediately is on the truck and all the bad guys are gone.
It's kind of like in Holy Grail when John Cleese is running toward those guards. Like he's not covering any ground, he's not getting any closer, and then he's there.
Yeah, and in this one, Superman is so good. Turkish Superman is so fucking good. He doesn't even need to fight the bad guys. They just disappear. They just go into the ether as Superman arrives.
They disintegrated out of fear.
Yes, they're like the Spinal Tap drummer. They just spontaneously combust, and they're gone, right? And I love this, though, is that he rescues Olive Oil, right? And she smiles and she goes, well, who are you?
He goes, I'm Superman.
And this is great, is that the way he saves her, Bobby, is that she passes out from knowing that he's Superman, and then he just leaves her on the road.
Just leaves her there in the dirt, flies away.
And he's gone, man. He just leaves her with the bad guys. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, you're not even going to get her car out of the back of the truck, nothing.
Nope,
No.
just whoosh.
Typhoon's like, I got to go back to the army, man. I don't have time for any of that.
That's right.
So,
you know what? Got it in one.
this is like the one Superman movie where like they cut out all the action scenes.
Too complicated.
Yeah. You imagine he made all these storyboards and he shows up to set and he's like, I can't do any of this shit. So,
but Typhoon, you said you were gonna.
You're in the military. You can't do anything. You can't jump or lift a thing. Nah, desk jockey.
Turkish military's got you pushing too many pencils.
I fill out forms.
Typhoon, you son of a bitch.
So then we go to Dad's house and Olive Oil shows up there. And I guess they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with the secret formula for the Krypton.
Yeah. He's like, gentlemen, you've heard my daughter's story. You know what's going on. You're filled in on the film so far.
Yeah. And Rumpelstiltskin's here. And it's so funny that nobody ever suspects him as being the bad guy because every time somebody mentions the word Krypton, he does this raised eyebrow look and the camera zooms into his face and music comes on screen. It's just like, da, da, da. And then everybody's kind of looking over like, Rumpel, are you okay? And so then they're wondering, they go, well, who would want the secret formula to Krypton? Typhoon's now looking, Typhoon looks at Olive as she's walking down the hall. Or no, I'm sorry, Typhoon's looking at a lady as she's walking down the hall. This is probably my favorite part in the whole movie.
We have a little Benny Hill moment.
Yeah, because it's the most self-aware. Like, this is the most meta line I've ever seen in a Superman movie. It's so bizarre. He's looking at a lady as she walks down the hall. His X-ray
And
vision.
he X-ray visions her, which really is just sort of like panty vision.
It doesn't. Yeah, he's not seeing her bones or anything. He just sees her without her.
He just sees her in her underwear.
So this works well with the lubricant beat, Bobby. It's fine. This is
Definitely.
That's how they do things over at Dunya.
The Daily Dunya. Dunya right. That's what they say.
That is definitely their tagline, right?
Dunya right and always on time.
So then, the X-ray kicks in. He gets a little broad panty shot, and then he collapses onto the ground. And Nasi grabs him, and the line that Nasi says is, he goes, "Hey, are you trying to imitate Superman? What happened, mate?" And I'm right. My mind is fucking blown. Okay, hold on. So,
What we got here? So we've got a Superman movie? Was that what we're doing?
I was just going, wait, hold on a second. They couldn't have meant for him to say that. Because in this movie, Typhoon has no idea who Superman is. When this guy shows up in a suit, he's
That's
like,
in my notes too.
yeah, he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "I'm Superman." Not like, "You never seen me" or anything. Nasi apparently is very aware of Superman.
Nothing gets by him, man.
I think Nasi knows the secret. That's why he calls Typhoon to let him know like that Olive got kidnapped. I think he
It's like,
knows. I think he's Superman's pal.
Nasi's definitely, it's Nasi Olsen.
Jimmy Nasi.
He's filling that role. Yeah. And this is kind of like when The Rock was on Saturday Night Live and they did the Superman skit where everyone's like, "We all know you're Superman." He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's towering over everybody and parts of his costume are showing.
So do you think that's why Nasi stopped chasing the truck and he just calls Typhoon? He's like, "What the fuck am I doing? Go fly and get her." Like, what am I doing in the car?
Yeah, he's like, I'm spending gas right now, and gas is really expensive. You can fly for free.
I feel like that was the first day of filming for the guy who played Nasi, and that was an outtake. He's like, they explained the scene to him. He's like, yeah, he just used his X-ray vision. That was him putting it together and going, "Wait a minute, are we doing a Superman movie?" You guys.
Leave it in.
But yeah, he explains, "Oh, I just got dizzy for a second. Sorry, pal."
Yeah. And that scene is just purely to have a woman in her underwear. There was nothing else for that scene because it will never be referenced again or has anything to do with the rest of the movie.
We're trying to sell some tickets here, Mike.
But it is because you couldn't cut from one shot of Rumple to the next. You know, you had to have some break. So we go to Rumpelstiltskin. Him and his assistant comes back. And I love this as he goes, his assistant walks in. He goes, "Well, I got the formula." And I go, "How? What?"
It happened while we were busy looking at girls in their underwear.
What the fuck's going on? All right, that was 25 minutes I just watched, and they got it off screen.
So what happened was, "Hey, Bobby, I got the money."
Yes, very much so. A character just comes in and goes, "Hey, remember that thing we were trying to get from the daughter, and we couldn't because we had that whole thing with Superman? That's all right, I found it anyways. It's right here."
Wait. Not to defend the movie, but we do see that on camera. Like the goon takes Olive's purse, and the formula is in the purse.
She said that the formula was at her dad's house. She didn't even get there yet.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. Fuck this movie.
You imagine somebody... Do you think that Typhoon was trying to explain that to Kunt on set?
Oh, I definitely want to think that.
And he's just like, "What'd you say to me? I am the fucking director of this movie. You don't tell me where the formula comes from. I'll tell you. I know all the plot of this movie."
I'm Mr. Kunt.
You can't do a single fucking stunt, but you're going to tell me how to do my job?
Yeah, fuck you. Go back to the army, am I right? Won't even lift a car. Come on.
Why don't you go dodge bullets with the rest of the Turkish military?
I'm so fucking mad right now that they just got this from off screen. And then they all of a sudden start having a conversation about how Superman saved olive oil. And I'm like, what the fuck? What?
Son of a bitch.
And then he goes, this is the part that makes no sense, that Rumpelstiltskin goes, "Well, did olive oil get hurt?" I go, "You just saw her. You just saw her in the last scene. What are you talking about? Did she get hurt?"
I mean, since I saw her last,
I'm like, are these...
She doing okay?
Did they mix up the order of these scenes?
Almost certainly.
Was it supposed to be that she went to her dad's house and then left and then got captured? It would make way more sense, right?
That's probably what happened.
But no, they have a full conversation. Is she fine? I'm like, you just saw her. So unless she had another car accident which Superman saved her again, nothing has changed.
But we also, in this moment, get the... we get to have the classic, like, supervillain explaining his motive.
Oh
That,
yeah.
Once he has all the formulas, he'll be the richest and most powerful man on Earth because he'll have infinite wealth by turning anything he wants into gold, as long as Austin Powers doesn't stop him.
So then we got to some guy kidnapping the dad, right? So he
Yep.
kidnaps dad, and he puts him in a car.
And
So here's the
they
thing,
do
though.
the phone call.
They don't need to kidnap dad. They got the formula.
Well, there's more than one formula.
Okay, so like, yeah, well, that's great. So then they tell you later on, they go, well, this isn't the formula for this, it's for that. Shut up.
Because there's dummy formulas. There's decoy formulas.
Jesus.
They're like, we need the real formula.
Let's go straight to the top, man.
And so they do the threatening phone call. They call the Daily Dunya, and they're like, we've got your father. We need the formula, and they're explaining all their demands. And Typhoon is secretly listening in with his super hearing. And then she gets off the phone, and she turns and tells him everything he was just listening to.
Yes. But I do love this, Bobby, is when the bad guys call the Daily Dunya, I believe it's Typhoon who answers the phone.
They're like, yeah, can you put Olive on the phone,
Yeah,
please?
they're like, hey, yeah, this is the bad guys. He put olive oil on.
I like to think like, we've got your father. Yeah, Olive, it's for you.
Got Jor-El?
They definitely don't have my dad.
He's a bar of soap in a cave. How did you get my father?
That bar of soap exploded.
How does one achieve Krypton? Is it have to be by a formula, or does it occur naturally? Because at one point we saw that Typhoon had a bar of Krypton soap.
Well, Mike, I'm glad you asked. And we're not at that scene yet, but I wrote down every word of him explaining how Krypton is formed.
Oh, God. Are you serious? You wrote that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, my God.
I'm a goddamn professional,
Do you
Mike.
want to save it for when we get to that scene, or do you want to spoil
Yes, I
it?
do. No. We're going to get there when
you
we
gotta
get
save
there.
it. You got to save it.
Because if they chose to tell us then, I choose to tell us then.
And my God, the Grindbin audience is just on the edge of their fucking seat wondering how you make Krypton.
Chomping at the bit.
You bet your ass they are.
God damn it, I want to know how to make that Krypton so I can make everything into gold.
It's going to be a Turkish Superman world, fellas.
Typhoon, yeah, Bobby, I love that part. They say, yeah, we got your father. You need to come here and give us the formula.
And they show him, like, secretly listening, and then she turns and goes, so here's the deal.
Yeah, she tells him everything that just happened, and then she goes,
Why was he listening in then? Why show that part?
didn't make sense. And she goes, I wish Superman could help me. And then Typhoon goes, I'll be right back. And then he just leaves, and they're like, huh, that was weird.
And then the theme plays, you know. Pretty sure that was the one, right?
And I love this, by the way, absolutely fucking love this great trope in a movie where the bad guys are playing cards at the bad guy HQ.
Classic.
They're playing like Go Fish or some shit, right? And then I love this is so the assistant goes over the dad, and for no reason he just starts getting rough with him because it's like he's bored. He comes over and goes, if your daughter doesn't bring the stone here, I'm going to put you in this machine. Guys, I think this is the best death machine we've had in a Grindbin movie yet. This is just kind of bizarre to me.
It's pretty solid. It's a conveyor belt with a big guillotine.
And I go, what would ever be the point of this?
To cut off a scientist's head.
Yeah, but at the same time, do you need to do it en masse so much that you need a conveyor belt? So you got to like, we got so many beheadings we need to do today that we can't even. Like,
Mike. You don't think like a supervillain. There's got to be some drama. There's got to be some excitement. Like any thug can just like put someone in a guillotine. It takes panache to build a conveyor belt that will slowly take them to the guillotine. That's art.
You know, Tanner.
That's art.
Tanner gets it.
I just really want to see the scene where the goon is requesting the expense, the expense for a conveyor belt. He's like, "You don't understand, boss. You don't understand, Mr. Stiltskin. We got so many beheadings to do. We need a conveyor belt. We can't get enough scientists in there."
Listen, I'm not made of money yet. We gotta kill Superman, get the formula, and then we can afford the conveyor belt. But sir, we won't need the conveyor belt once we have the kryptonite and can make all the money in the world.
I know, but we need to behead all these scientists, and I'm telling you, we got to line out the fucking door. We got to do something with all these.
I want to see the black and white clip where he's like, there's got to be a better way.
And then, you know, when they finally got it installed, all the guys are like, oh, this is great. This is so great. We're finally going to be able to automate it. Guys, we could do this in our sleep. We could just leave them on the belt and just leave town, you know, go to lunch, you know, we come back with all the heads. It's great.
You know who doesn't think it's great is that guy in the black hood who's out of a job now.
Oh yeah, he's pissed. Well, it's all right because he got
machines replacing him.
Bobby, he got fired, so at least he got laid off, so at least he can claim the unemployment.
You do a job for 50 years. One day you just get fired. They give you a newly gold watch. They kick you in the butt and say, "Sorry, Daddy, but a conveyor belt took your job."
I like that you said newly gold watch because they use the gold machine to turn a regular watch into a gold watch.
Exactly.
So now it's a newly gold.
He's looking down. He's like, "How'd I get a gold watch with Mickey Mouse on it?"
I would love it if they had the aside of the executioner going home and giving that speech to his family.
It's a bum deal, I tell you. Now I'm going to be stuck working the lubricant beat.
So fuck that jazz. Superman just flies around and then breaks into the bad guy's HQ. He just like comes in the door. He's like, "Hey, I think I'm in this scene."
There's a couple of wood planks they propped up in the doorway that he just sort of pushes over.
Yeah, because it's like Kunt was like, "Can you knock this door down?" He's like, "I ain't doing that shit."
Now, a couple noteworthy things happen in this fight scene with all the goons. One, he backhands a guy right out of the movie. Like, he just full-on backhands a dude, and that dude flies off screen, and he's gone. He also catches a bullet in his fist.
I really like that scene, or that bit where he catches the bullet. I also like that you can see the zipper on the costume.
Absolutely.
The close-up of his hand. It's very classy.
Some people talk shit on that sort of thing, but then, John Cassidy draws a bunch of X-Men costumes with seam lines, and everyone's like, "This is amazing." Well, you can't have it both ways, guys. Also, a dude tries to stab Superman, and the knife bends.
That's one I didn't know, because I never know, because I don't read enough Superman, or really, there's no way in hell I'd watch any of the new Superman movies. But I was always like, how come nobody ever tries to get him with a knife? What would happen then? I guess it bends.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Oh, they answer some of those questions over time. Brian Singer's Superman Returns. A guy finally has the thought to just shoot him in the fucking eye. He doesn't have any muscle there, and it still bounces off of him.
God damn.
Well, because they explain in some older, I don't remember which comic introduced this because his powers have changed over the years, but it's not like the Hulk where it's like his muscles are so yoked and tight that shit bounces off him. He's actually got a force field around his body.
Oh, okay. He's impervious to knives then, which doesn't make any sense for what happens next because there's an explosion that happens.
Well, he gets hit with a wooden chair and that apparently rocks him into the doorway that explodes.
Yes.
Yep.
He falls onto the conveyor belt of death, which is great because now they don't even need to put him on there. They're like, oh, it's perfect. See, this is exactly why we kept telling Rumple we needed this.
And then the goon who sees this happen goes, well, this is the end of Superman for good.
Yep.
And then they all leave because we don't need to stick around and make sure it happens, even though he's been catching bullets and bending blades.
Look, the conveyor belt guillotine is foolproof.
It's never let us down.
Never let him down before. Also, though, do you think, when I stabbed him with that knife, though, at Ben, do you think he'll do the same thing with the guillotine?
Man, these guys probably didn't even spring for the warranty.
Nah, I think we'll be fine.
It's gonna work.
Yeah. So they leave, right? And then the blade falls and we cut. And I write in my notes at this point, I go, I hope he died.
Let's give this movie to Olive. I want to see how she...
Yeah. So the assistant comes to Rumpelstiltskin, Mr. Stiltskin, and he goes, hey, Mr. Stiltskin, good news. We got rid of Superman. And he's like, oh, that's great. Now we can continue our evil plan and making everything gold. But cut back to Superman, and you know what? He's fine. The blade bent.
Oh, shit. It didn't work?
He's like a magician blade or something. It's like got his head cut out.
They've cut out the part for his gut that it landed on.
Yes, yeah. And so he's fine. And then Typhoon now is back at work with Olive Oil.
Like nothing happened.
Yeah, I write just another day. And then she goes to another room, and then for no reason he just stands up, takes off his glasses, and he goes, Olive Oil, come in here. I'm Superman.
She's like, oh my God, it's Superman. She runs back in. But it's not Superman.
Yeah, she goes, where's Superman? He goes, oh, it's just me. I was just making a joke or something.
Just sort of threw my voice to sound like Superman. Anyway, I love you.
Yes. He goes, I love you. She's like, what? He's like, no, I legit love you. And she
goes, hey, we're friends. I love you too. And he's like, not like that. I'm like, come on.
Like you.
Super fuck boy. Probably sent her a dick pic.
I love Superman.
Yeah, she's like, well, I'm sorry, but I love Superman. Not you, you dork.
Then we go to important guy meeting, all the scientists, and Bobby, take it away. Dad has found out how to produce Krypton, and boy, is Mr. Siltskin rhino hard sitting at this table listening to it.
Well, it's quite simple, really, Mike. By the fusion of kryptonite gas, which could be found in the upper layers of atmosphere, with a ratio of 1 in a billion, with argon gas by catalyzing natrium aluminum fluorine, thus becoming solid, having the atomic weight of 82.92 grams, and emerald green stone, which becomes orangish by decreases in temperature.
Take that, Mr. Action Comics.
You stole fizzy lifting drinks and you bumped into the ceiling, which has to be washed and sanitized, therefore you get nothing.
I don't know why they included all of that, but they did. And you just cut to Mr. Siltskin just putting a napkin over his lap because he's not standing up for a while, man.
Oh,
he
my
is
God.
so goddamn excited.
Man.
We go, Olive Oil's just leaving work, and then Typhoon's coming back to work to the James Bond theme. I think it works fine because he just broke out of a James Bond death device. So now, maybe, right?
Well, I like the thought that, he shot his shot with Olive Oil, and she was like, nah, fam. And he's like, okay, I need to be a little bit cooler then. And then the next time we see him, he's coming around at the corner, dun 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 dun. They're like, that's not gonna work, dude. It's like, well, what do you think of this, huh?
He walks into the Daily Dunya, and he goes to talk to his boy. He goes to talk to Nasi, and he's like, hey, Olive Oil just left. And then for some reason, Typhoon kind of turns to the audience, and he's like, it's a trap! And then he runs off, and we're like, what?
What do you mean it's a trap?
Everybody's like, huh? And so then Nasi just he goes, fuck this, I'm taking a nap, I'm leaving this movie. The boss comes up, Bobby, Mr. Dunya.
Oh, Turkish Ed Asner?
Mr. Dunya comes up and he's like, I told you I needed that goddamn lubricant story. What are you doing sleeping on the job? Nasi kind of yells back at him. I'm like, God damn, man.
Yeah, that was...
We got some banter.
He's fresh out of give a fuck, man.
And so then here's my next... This is amazing, because in my notes I just wrote, what in the hell? Olive Oil is driving, right? Please explain to me, Tanner. What happens as Olive Oil's driving?
Well, her trunk opens. And, Kenny Loggins pops his head out with a gun.
Oh, we're going straight to the danger zone.
And he's in the trunk of the car with his gun, and he shoots out the back tire of the car that he's hiding in the trunk of. And then he goes and hides back in the trunk. And Olive is like, what the fuck? I blew a tire. And I heard a gunshot at the same moment. Weird life I leave. And she pulls over and she gets out. I was like, oh, bum news. Flat tire. Opens her trunk. Kenny Loggins pops out with his gun. I'm like, I've got you now.
Oh, we get a double reveal of the same guy.
Yeah.
Fucking weird.
He pops out of the trunk and points a gun at her. He's like, you're kidnapped now.
Kidnapped again.
Guys, I fucking love this next part. Is that we just cut to a shot of like a car filled with a bunch of bad guys and Olive Oil sitting in the middle seat, right? So now they got the whole crew, right? And they are listening. They are listening to a song, from the Academy Award-winning movie Midnight Express, which is came out in 1978. By Giorgio Moroder, however you want to pronounce it.
I have that record. It's a great soundtrack.
However, for nobody who's seen Midnight Express but have heard Coast to Coast Radio, it is the theme song of every episode of Coast to Coast.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Oh my God, when it started playing, I'm like, what the fuck?
Art Bell, you hack.
The gang is really into conspiracies.
I loved Bobby. I was almost imagining that Art Bell was going to come on the radio.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening and or good morning, wherever you may be across this great land of ours. From the Tahitian and Hawaiian Islands in the west, nestled in the warm trade winds of the Pacific, eastward to the Caribbean and the U.S. Virgin Islands, with their own soft winds, south into South America, north all the way to the pole, and worldwide on the internet. And by the way, hello to my friends down at the Antarctic at McMurdo. This is Coast to Coast AM. I'm Art Bell, and it's great to be here tonight. We are going to talk tonight about...
Just imagine Art Bell going, all right, we got Turkey on the wild card line. Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw a Superman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw him catch a bullet, then he flew away.
Fascinating.
Okay, we're going to go east of the Rockies now. We're going to see...
We get Superman with a new power. Yeah, he shows up, and he finds Olive's car, and he opens the trunk and apparently has psychometry, where he can see past events that happened in the location if he makes physical contact. And he sees that Olive was kidnapped by Kenny Loggins.
He was able to pull out Spaceballs the video and rewind it.
He's like got the powers from the LA Noire video game, if you ever played that.
I loved that game.
It was great, right? But LA Noire, you hacks! It all started in Turkish Superman.
LA Noire is just Turkish Grand Theft Auto.
So true. So goddamn true. Great game, though, by the way. Play it. But no, Tanner, when you said he has a new power, I thought you meant the power to drive. Because you know how I really want my Superman is driving a goddamn car. What the fuck is he doing? Fly! It's like, you have the power to fly and go rescue Olive Oil, who you know is in trouble, and he goes, you know what, I'll drive. I'm going to take the car this time, you know? I feel like I've been haven't used it enough.
You know, my father came in second in the Krypton 500. Just saying. It's in my blood.
So he drives, right?
We're doing Krypton Drift?
But I do love this, is we cut to Olive Oil in that car. She's sitting in the middle because there's so many bad guys, right?
We're still learning about the Jersey Devil.
I didn't even know this is possible. She leans over, nobody sees this apparently, and she takes the keys out of a running car. How the hell do you just take the keys out of the ignition without turning it off?
I think you got to take that car in. I think that's the problem.
She just reaches up, grabs the keys out of the car, and then tosses them out. And they're like, hey, what the hell? And then all the bad guys are like, what the fuck? And they're all outside looking for the keys. And then you find out she has them in her hand and she runs off. They're like, oh, God damn it. God damn it. She's got the keys.
Yeah, I thought she was going to pull a Captain America, the movie from 1990, which I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. But Captain America in that movie is kind of a weird coward. And multiple times in the movie, he will be riding in the car with someone and be like, "Oh, can you pull over? I'm going to be sick." And
there's a lot of running away from Italian Red Skull.
Yes, and he gets out of the car, and then the person will also get out of the car and check on him, and he'll just run quickly back into the car and steal the car. I thought she was going to do that. She was going to get them to all be looking for the keys.
No. It works every time.
Yeah, he does it on Katie. He does it on the girl. Captain America. It's running coward movie. But I thought she was going to do something clever like that. But no, she just runs off, and the bad guy chase.
She runs into the woods. Great place, right? And this is great though. Is that Typhoon keeps driving around, and then all of a sudden he pulls the side here and goes, "What the hell am I doing? I'm Superman."
Oh right.
And he just becomes Superman. And he's like, "Shit, what the hell am I driving for?" And he just he becomes Superman, and then there's, God damn, the longest ass foot chase forever of just running through the Turkish, wilderness as the bad guys chase after Olive Oil and Superman just kind of shows up. But I do love the part where a guy throws a rock at Superman and it just bounces off him.
He just straight up no-sells it. He doesn't even change his facial expression.
Yeah. It was
And then
fantastic.
What does he do to this guy who threw the rock? Why, he punches him up into a tree.
That part was gret, actually.
And they did the guy dropped out of a tree and they just ran the footage backwards. So he just goes up into this tree branch.
It's a very Dolomite-esque effect.
Oh, definitely.
So then I write more running, some flying, more running.
And there's a shot during this chase of a long stone hallway with a lot of arches, and that looked really cool. That was a good shot.
I like that the goon chasing her is white Steve Harvey.
Yes, he has the Steve Harvey mustache, Turkish Steve Harvey,
and a suit that
he needed the big colorful suit. Yeah.
You know, funny enough, Tanner, he actually hosts Turkish Family Feud.
Survey says Danya.
Lubricant.
Well, that's just Family Feud here. If you don't work the word dick or penis into a Family Feud episode nowadays, people are turning it off. It's like you watch so many of them, it just becomes desensitized to you. You're like, all right, it's going to be another dick joke.
I mean, desensitized or desanitized? Either way, both
It
work.
could be two things.
No, I'm desensitized to it. I don't feel anything, Tanner. When I watch Family Feud now, I'm like numb. It feels like I'm on heroin.
And I'm desanitized.
Jesus, do you need to talk to somebody, Mike?
I just sit there and I go, the joy is gone.
You know, Mike, I think this is above our pay grade. I think you need to talk to someone a bit more qualified than us.
I can see through the seams of it, guys. I can go. I just see it, and it's like become Videodrome to me. You know, it's like I can see the walls, and I can see Steve Harvey in a torture room going, "Get me the hell out of here, Mike! Get me out of here!"
Just one day, you're going to see one of those panels ding and turn. It just says "Long live the new flesh," and you know that's it.
I think that's how Steve Harvey's going to go out on the last episode of Family Feud.
Oh man, not another one.
Oh,
He seems so goddamn done
too
with
soon.
it.
We've talked about it on this show before, Tanner.
Oh yeah, Tanner, too soon. That was like 1980.
It's always too soon.
Now we're on a bridge, and Soups zombie walks toward a guy until the guy jumps to his own death.
Oh, is this the best death in the movie or what?
It is the best death, except it's a death, much like in comics, that does not stick, because this goon is still in the rest of the movie.
We may have more than one Superman.
That was Turkish Steve's brother. He's got a twin, Tanner. It was all explained off screen. You don't remember that? Kind of like with the dummy formula and all that?
All right. Beeve.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. It's so, yeah, he falls off the ledge. Love that. Because Superman's just walking towards him, and he's shooting and shooting and shooting, and then he just goes, and there's that long shot, that beautiful long shot of a dummy falling off this bridge.
I love dummy drops. I'm so happy when I get one.
This was a good one, by the way. Because then you have Olive Oil scream.
Yeah.
Like, while it's going, she's like, and he falls to his death.
She gets to do the Wilhelm, and she asks him, why do you keep saving me? And he goes, hey, a feeling of mine. Maybe I like you. Do you like me? Circle yes or no.
You should mention, though, by the way, that she passes out and almost falls off the side of this bridge herself. Like, at the sight of this man dying, she passes out, and Superman catches her before she also falls.
He would have had to fly around the world backwards.
And he takes her back to her car. And for some reason, the assistant to Rumpelstiltskin's just watching them at a distance at this point, right? He's like, what the hell's going on here? And then it gets even weirder, Bobby. Like you're saying, he confesses his love. And you can tell the assistant at this point is really confused. He's like, what the fuck's going on?
And she's just like, I love you too. Bye. And then drives away.
And she drives off. And again, you know how Superman saves the day? He just leaves her. He just leaves her.
A job well done, Turkish Superman.
And so then Olive Oil drives off. Doesn't really work because the assistant to Rumple just gets in the car with a gun and he re-kidnaps her.
Yep. That whole thing was worthless.
Yep. So now we go to Bad Guy HQ, and the assistant brings Olive Oil in. And
just white Steve Harvey is there. So clearly he fell to his death, resurrected, and then went straight back to headquarters. Because he somehow beats Olive and the assistant back to headquarters.
Respawned.
I think it's a respawn thing. Or maybe Mr. Stiltskin also has like some sort of like goon cloning machine. You know, that was in Turkish Superman 1. Because you remember, this is Superman Returns. You don't know about the first one.
Oh, yeah.
You mean he just has a laboratory full of Turkish Steve Harveys?
Yes.
I work with a Turkish guy. I should ask him all about if he knows about Turkish Superman.
I think he's just going to give you a look and walk away.
Either way, I win. Either he knows all about it or he'll never speak to me again.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So I love this, guys. We get the traditional bad guy reveal. God, it's so good, too. Could you imagine? So Mr. Stiltskin's like, shh, she's coming. She's coming. All right, guys. I'm going to turn around in my jacket. The one, hey, get that jacket. The one with the big collar. You know, the one I can pop so it looks really cool, right? So, like, you can't see the back of my head, but when I turn around, it looks really awesome, kind of like the Dracula thing. Can you go get that jacket? So when she comes in here, all you guys are going to face, you guys face Olive Oil, right? And then when she comes in, also get the smoke machine, right? So we're going to smoke it up. And as she walks in, I'm going to turn around and face her and go, I'm the bad guy. And that's exactly what happens.
It's great.
He turns around. He goes, it's me. And she's like, oh my God, Mr. Stiltskin? And he's like, that's right. It's me. I want the Krypton stone so I can make everything gold.
Yeah, he basically recaps the whole movie for her.
So none of us are gonna do the Vince McMahon.
It was me all along, Olive Oil.
Son of a bitch.
It was me, Olive. It was me all along.
I like the Bobby all son of a bitch in the background.
And then there's gonna be a scene later where he's like, I want the old Turkish Superman.
So then, he tells her a story. She's like, man, this is such a shock. And I'm just thinking, I mean, is it really? He's the guy raising his eyebrows and getting hard every time somebody mentions Krypton. So now some new guys are running around on a train, right? And I guess the dad's on there. We learned this just kind of off screen. And then all of a sudden they tell Olive Oil, they're like, this part doesn't make any sense, is that they say, all right, Olive Oil, get on the phone and call Typhoon and tell him where you are. Because I guess their plan is to capture Typhoon.
Yeah, they're gonna up the ante and take another hostage. So why don't you get that rookie from work, the new guy?
Nobody cares about him.
Right. There's the big flaw in that plan. They're like, why?
That big nerd.
She's like, no, I think you want Nasi. He's the one who writes the lubricant beat. He's the real treasure of the Daily Dunya. And they're like, no, get us that Typhoon guy.
And so she does.
He looks a lot like that Superman guy, but I don't think that has anything to do with it.
To avoid any confusion, let's get that guy out of the way so we know where he is.
Yes.
That way, if we seem like we see him again, we know it's actually Superman.
And by the way, I fucking love this. So she calls him up, and she's like, hey, Typhoon, can you come to this address where I'm at? They captured me. And he's like, I'll be right there. So then a Typhoon arrives at Bad Guy HQ, and he walks up to some toothless man with the paper, and he goes, can you tell me where this address is?
Yeah, and Turkish Vinnie Jones is like, yeah, it's right over here. And then laughs maniacally.
I love the idea of a guy like Superman coming up to Bad Guy HQ and be like, can you tell me where this is?
You know, I will say Batman does pull a similar move. Batman has he's got a street character he portrays called Matches Malone, who's like just this dude who gets like what the word on the street is from the goons. So like he'll change outfits and like chew on a matchstick and basically be like, hey, can you tell me where the bad guy meeting is?
I was hoping that it would be something like the GPS and the Batmobile went out. And he has to pull over to the side. He's like, can you guys tell me where the address is?
And he's relied on it for too long.
Is that a picture with a big penguin on it? Or maybe like a big question mark? Like just anything that looks kind of weird. Like maybe like, are there a lot of clowns in this neighborhood?
You know, Tanner, it's not too far off in the Batman universe for Penguin to have a building with a giant penguin on it.
Exactly. Penguin car.
He's just drawing a door with a question mark on it. He's like, hey, I'm looking for this. There's a building with one of these.
Oh, yeah, you just want to take a left over at the Penguin building. You remember that?
It's next door, right next to the Penguin building. You can't miss it.
It's near the one with all the ivy growing all over the building. It's near that one.
Typhoon walks through a door and finds Olive Oil all tied up, and he walks toward her.
All tied up in the traditional Popeye, hostage situation.
He's all like, hey, what's going on? And then Vinnie Jones shows up with like a bat and hits Typhoon from behind.
And he gives him one right across the back. And he turns around ready to eat this guy's breakfast, and then he remembers that he's not in costume, so he has to faint.
But also, fuck Olive Oil for not telling Typhoon that there was fucking Vinnie Jones with a baseball bat walking up behind him. She doesn't say anything.
Yeah, where's the it's a trap.
She does. She sees him. She sees him and she smiles the whole time. Like, hey, she's doing like a misdirection.
She's in on it.
She really doesn't like Typhoon at all.
No, she's hoping that he'll get killed so she can get that sweet Superman to herself and get this guy out of the picture.
Yeah, it's like creeper she works with.
Yeah, he gets hit by Vinnie Jones, right? And then the bad guys come in the room and they find Typhoon knocked out. And Mr. Stiltskin comes up and he's like, hey, tie that guy up. And then he goes, hey, Olive Oil, your dad's really screwed on that trade. Ha 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 ha. And then he leaves the room. And then Typhoon and Olive Oil are now, they get up and she's like, man, it really sucks that we're kidnapped and all. And he's like, yeah. She's like, I wish Superman was here. And he goes,
hey, who knows? Maybe he'll come. He always does seem to show up to save you.
Yeah.
And she goes, how do you know that? And he just goes, boom.
And she's like, oh my God, you're Superman. And he's like, yeah, but I need you to keep that a secret just between you and me, right?
He lays it out for her real quick.
Maybe everybody else in the office who saw me running out of the building with the outfit on.
So, that's the deal. I'm Superman. Don't tell nobody. Keep that rock away from me. It really fucks my shit up. Anyway, you call Nasi. I'm going to go save your dad.
And I almost feel though, like in this Superman universe, Superman might have like some sort of Men in Black pen powers where he could just like wipe people's minds. It's Turkish Superman. He could do whatever the fuck he wants.
Well, he has that power in the Donner movies.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true. So yeah,
he has to kiss you to do it. So that's he's gonna be pretty busy trying to wipe everybody's brain. He's gonna be running around like Sonny Chiba, just grabbing people and planting.
Can you
one on
imagine Superman going up to every bad guy and planting his kiss on him?
Just like boom. He's like, what the fuck?
He's doing a Duke Mitchell to all these guys. So yeah,
that's Italian Superman.
Yes. So now Superman beats up a bunch of bad guys.
Oh wait, don't skip over these beat ups. So
these are great.
The first bad guy is smoking a cigarette and does like the cigarette drop from his mouth in stunned silence. It's like, it's Superman. He gets punched.
He does the Dan Aykroyd?
Yeah. And then the next bad guy, this part I'm very confused as to what actually is happening, because this bad guy takes a couple of swings at Superman, but clearly does not connect.
Nope.
And it's not shot to make it look like he connects, and just like Superman is...
Tanner, like Bobby said, he has a force field around him.
See, I thought it was like, is this another power for Superman? Has he turned intangible?
This guy's fists feel like they're connecting with something, but he's actually inches away. My favorite move here is when one of the goons tries this classic move that I think I saw in UFC once, where he just drops his head down and runs headfirst into his nuts.
If I was ever in a fight, that might be my move.
Oh, yeah. Just rhino hard.
Well, that's the guy who then falls back and impales himself on a stick.
Yeah,
right?
The impact of running forehead first into his super peen sends him flying back, where he gets impaled on some kind of pipe.
Yeah.
So Superman has killed another person.
Well, Bobby, in his defense, he didn't kill either of these guys. They killed themselves.
It's true. It's like in Batman Begins. But I don't have to save you. Though I guess now it is kind of satisfying that he lets Liam Neeson die.
Well, so then what happens next is that the bad guys rob Dad and his friends on a train. Now, here's the thing. Are they in like a public car or a private car? Because
they're on the Orient Express.
From what I could tell, they walk into a regular part of a train. They rob a bunch of guys. They tie them up and put tape over their mouths. I'm like, but I assume all the other passengers just saw what you did.
Yeah.
And they want no part of this, man. They're just reading their newspapers. They're like, what's in the W today?
You see that latest lubricant article? It's real fascinating.
I didn't see shit. I was reading about lubricants.
And so then the bad guys now direct the train to crash into another train. At first, I thought they were directing...
They switched the track.
I thought they were directing the train to go to Bad Guy HQ. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. It's they're going to deliver the dad right there. But no, apparently the guys stole the Krypton soap from him on the train, and now they're going to crash into another train.
Yes, and now they're just going to cause a massive crash with the old Bugs Bunny move.
Yes, but Superman has to fly through a couple more vacation photos, so he does that for a while.
And during one of these fly-throughs of the vacation photos, you see someone fall off the boat. Yeah, Superman is just soaring over California.
He could smell the oranges.
Exactly.
He ducked when the golf ball came, it's all that stuff.
Oh, that's local humor for any listeners who haven't been to Disneyland in California.
And you know what? It's not even local humor anymore. They changed the goddamn ride.
Now it's soaring over the world.
Yeah, now
where you get to go to Turkey. You get to fly over Istanbul like your Turkish Superman. I'm going to think about that next time.
All right. Well, anyway, so there's some good editing with the two trains. It does actually really, like, that part is pretty good. Like, and this is where it's like, well, he filmed it with the money he had in his pocket.
Are you talking about the movie?
We're talking about the movie now.
Yeah.
The two trains.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the part in Sword Over the World where Mickey stops those two trains from hitting each other.
No, that's in A Mission to Mars.
All right, so back to the movie. Tanner, please tell me how he saves the trains. He does it like you said, the old Bugs Bunny way.
Yeah, so there's a really good, it's some good quick cuts between clearly two different trains. One's red, one's blue. So you kind of see like, oh, the trains are going to crash. And to his credit, Typhoon is standing between two trains, and one of them is slowly moving forward. And he does like put his arm out, and then like I think there's a quick cut, and you see like the trains have.
I feel like that was a real Kunt move.
Yeah, it was a solid Kunt move.
You know, I agree with both of you guys. Really solid performance in that moment and really talented filmmaking.
I feel like that was the thing where he's like, "Yeah, you ain't gonna do shit, huh, Typhoon? How about I fucking take the brakes off this train? Fuck you."
Yeah, you're going to be between two moving trains.
And so yeah, it all fine. Then Superman comes in, he unties the guys, and he's like, "Yeah, it's all good. Bye." And so then he goes. We cut to Mr. Stiltskin, and he's got the stone in his office. He goes, "All right, finally, we can make everything into gold." And Superman's flying to the rescue at the same point. He's flying over vacation footage, and then Mr. Stiltskin goes, "Give me that pen." So of all the things in the world that turn into gold, his first thing is, "Give me a pen."
It's just what he saw first. Yeah, he's like, "Yeah."
It's the only thing that was actually gold colored that they had available.
That's exactly what I wrote, Tanner. It's the only shit they had that was gold. And so he goes, "Yeah, put your pen down there." And so he puts his pen down, and he uses the laser. And you know what? It's a gold pen.
Yeah, man, I'll be damned if that doesn't work like a dream. He really is going to be the richest
I like when
man.
it's like, now obviously the next thing is to try this gold beam out on a living creature. So they go and get a cat.
They immediately turn into like Beavis and Butthead.
Because he goes, "Well, what will it do to the living? Get me a cat." And I write, "Why? Your whole plan was to make everything gold. What the hell you want to do it to a living creature now? Like, you don't got enough stuff in the world to make gold?"
He wants a Lince Dorado.
They shoot the cat, and I'm sure you're very satisfied.
No, I wasn't happy about it. But at least they didn't really show much. Like, mysteriously, the machine shoots a flame out of it when they put a cat in front of it.
Yeah, was the cat supposed to have been destroyed by the beam?
That's what the smoke was to imply.
The cat clearly just jumps off the table.
Yeah, he just leaves. And they had some smoke and dust to make it seem like he just incinerated a cat.
Well, I don't know if you guys had the same reaction, but like when the cat disappeared, at first I thought he became a serving tray. That's what they cut to, you know? And I was like, did he just become like a marble tray?
It's like a Beauty and the Beast thing. They're just turning everything into furniture. And then we cut to the only stunt, really, that our boy Typhoon wants to do, where he gingerly hops down off a roof to KO a guy.
And by gingerly, you mean he just surveys the landing, bends down.
Careful now. Kind of slides off this, like, shed roof.
Does that 1 foot at a time type of thing.
Yep. Just like, there we go. Nice and easy. Gets up and punches a guy.
Yep. And then he confronts Rumpelstiltskin. He confronts Mr. Stiltskin, and Mr. Stiltskin fires the machine at him.
And drops him.
Superman just starts having a seizure.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's a weird reaction.
And it's right after he vowed that he's going to design his next plan in prison, which implies that he's counting on him getting out and doing another plan. Because, you want to kind of, arrange for a long career of doing this.
But this is the part I hated, is that, so this whole movie, Mr. Stiltskin is just obsessed with getting this Krypton soap, right?
Yeah.
And get it in his machine. So in this scene, when Superman starts having a seizure on the ground, what's he do? He runs away. He runs away, and he just leaves his machine and the Krypton cube and everything, and he just runs.
Man, what a coward.
The cops show up, and they turn off the Krypton machine, and they save Superman. And he's like, "Hey, I'm going to go get that guy, that Rumpelstiltskin guy." And they're like, "Okay." And so then he flies around for a while through more vacation photos, and he stops at Mr. Stiltskin's car. And the way he stops it is by lifting it off the ground.
That's pretty cool.
Classic move.
It is good. And then he scanners Rumpelstiltskin. I thought he was going to make his head explode.
Yeah, he like hypnotizes him. He freezes him up with his mind.
And I seriously thought we were going scanner style right here. I'm like, oh shit.
What a turn that would have been.
Everything Superman can make your head explode.
Just after all of this, he just Miracle Mans him at the end.
And so, no, instead he just walks up and he grabs the gun in Mr. Stiltskin's hand, and it melts. It kind of like melts. It's really weird. It's like a stress ball, like a gun stress ball or something.
It's pretty cool. I like that moment.
And so then the cops arrest Mr. Stiltskin, and they're like, "Good job, Superman." And he goes, "All right, bye, movie." And then he leaves and everybody waves.
Because he explains, he says, it's my duty to help the good ones, which is a weird turn of phrase.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know what he meant by that.
Yeah, I don't think I want to know what he meant by that. And then when they ask him to stay, we get the Poochie ending, because he's like, I must go in search of my home country, Krypton.
Yeah.
First of all. And then he explains, which disappeared 7 light years ago.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Where do we start on this sentence? Yeah, because then I have to go now. My planet needs me, and Typhoon died on the way back to his home planet. But the last thing he says to them before he goes out of sight is, "I wish you luck for the rest of your lives," meaning I'm never coming back.
Yeah, and it was like, well, what about olive oil?
What about her?
I guess, yeah.
He's done, man. He's moved on.
He got
And
that.
then, yeah.
He got her to say that 4-letter word, and he's done.
Yeah, he won. He won.
Once she said she
Listen,
loved him,
Kryptonians before Fallopians.
Jesus. I remember it says that in the Fortress of Solitude.
I'll workshop that.
I think that was on the poster.
And then, Super Ken flies through the Christmas ornaments, and we're done.
Okay, guys, recommendations. Bobby, go ahead. Let's hear it.
Me? You know what? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Maybe part of me just wants to be a contrarian, but I kind of had fun watching this. I wasn't as enraged as you guys. This is a really interesting curio that's worth at least one watch. It's on YouTube, and it's only an hour.
That's an opinion, everybody.
So thanks for joining us.
Tanner, what do you say?
No, there's no reason to watch this. I mean, watch one of the funny, commentary short videos on it, and there's plenty on YouTube. It's not worth the time.
I mean, if you think about it this way, though, I mean, if you're the type of person who likes watching fan films, someone made one in 1979. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
Okay.
No, this is garbage. I mean, here's the thing: is it was fun to talk about. This episode, I believe, turned out much better than I thought it was going to. And I had a lot of fun talking about it with you guys. But at the same time, fuck this movie.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I don't mean to pull the curtain back too far, but the two mics were furious before we started recording.
This is garbage.
That's pretty much how we went into this.
It's beyond a level of bad that I'm usually willing to watch. This is like if you're really into just self-mutilation.
And who isn't?
Jesus.
It's rough, man. It's really rough. But, if you enjoyed hearing us talk about it, go check it out. You skim through it. By the way, this is one of the movies you could watch this on 2x speed, get this thing done in a half an hour, and it would be fine. You won't miss it.
Never think about it again.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, you hear that sound? How do you think Bobby and DeVito would fit in the world of Turkish Superman? Who wants to take it first?
Well, it's pretty simple, I think. I don't think that Typhoon was the only person who wandered into that cave being led by a voice.
Oh,
I have a feeling in his travels, I mean, this movie takes place in 1979. That's only a couple years after 1977. I think that at some point a certain poofy-haired young man heard, Bobby, I've got the money, and wandered into the cave.
Okay.
Only to realize that he had special powers too.
Oh.
Most of which involved rendering people unconscious and unaware of what had happened for the last few hours. But it's a start. I think there's a Turkish straight arrow out there flying through the air in front of a piece of tracing paper showing clips of things. Maybe not necessarily vacation videos, but clips being projected for sure.
Guys, I just thought of something freaking mind-blowing. What if there is a Turkish the Van? Like somebody made... Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? I'd love it. Turkish guy, he graduates from school. His parents want him to go to college, but no, just wants to get that van, go around the countryside and lure women inside of it. But in Turkey.
Man, I'd like
Sounds
to
like
see
an Eli Roth movie.
Yeah, that's how that one ends.
Just another hostel.
So this is how my Bobby and DeVito factor into the world of Turkish Superman. So after Typhoon leaves to go back to his home planet, where he dies along the way, his desk at the newspaper, what was the name? Dona?
The Daily Dunya. Dunya Right. Dunya Right, Tanner.
Donya. Yeah, there's you've got one guy dedicated to writing about lubricant. I think we need some more topics covered by that paper. And just the right guys are Bobby and DeVito to start their journalism career, to meet all those wonderful women, especially Olive, who seems to always find a way to get into trouble and get tied up.
Okay. I like it.
Wow. So you think there's a column in the Daily Dunya called Straight as an Arrow?
Oh, definitely.
So editorial section?
Well, I think just because, I just recently seen Spider-Verse, I feel like Bobby came home from school and he went into his room and his dad was there. And he's like, Dad, what are you doing here? And he goes, son, there's something I have to tell you. Something that has been a secret for your whole life. You're not mine. We found you in a weird van outside the house one night. You were just in there, and you were there with this weird 8-track tape. And we brought you in, and we brought you up to be our own son.
8-track.
Just follow the 8-track, son, and it will tell you where to go. So Bobby sticks that 8-track into the straight arrow. It tells him to go all around, and he goes out into the middle of Malibu. He tosses it into a cave where it tells him to toss it. And out comes his old friend Matt Latanzi from My Tutor, who lived in a teepee, and he asks him, he goes, oh, I'm not here for anything in particular. I just live in a teepee outside. He goes, get the hell out of here, Latanzi. But all of a sudden, a poof comes out, and DeVito's there, and he goes, Bobby, it's true. You're one of them, the Supermen. And we learn that Bobby is actually the Superman of Malibu. But it's all shut down because he finds out that his kryptonite is women.
Oh, no.
So Bobby just left back to his home planet. And when they had the whole multiverse where they were trying to find the Superman of Malibu to help save the world, he was gone. He's like, fuck this. And that was it.
And the world ended.
Yeah, the world ended.
I love it.
I mean, at one point, we're all going to end up in the back of that straight arrow someday, guys. That's all I got to say. That's where the world ends.
Big straight arrow in the sky.
Yep.
As above, so below.
Like, you know, at the end of Men in Black, when they kind of pan out and it shows that it's just like a big bag of marbles that aliens are holding. I feel like in my life, it's all going to pan out and just be the inside of the straight arrow. That'll be all my existence. So, anyways, thanks again for joining us here on the Grindbin.
Man, this has been quite the journey, this episode.
Yes. You can find me on my website, bymichaeltanner.com. In the month of March, I will be at 2 big conventions. Middle of the month, I will be at Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, where I'll be on a couple panels, and I will be in Artist Alley. And then at the end of the month, I will be in Anaheim at WonderCon, where I'm also on some panels, and I will also be in the Artist Alley there. Come by and say hi, buy some books.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. And I'll be roaming around WonderCon in Anaheim as well. So if you do come say hi to Tanner, ask him where Bobby is.
Bobby, what are you going to be cosplaying as?
I don't know yet for WonderCon. I got one coming up for Long Beach. Will have already happened by the time this airs. But maybe I'll put that out on social media if anyone wants to come look for me. I'll probably be dressing as the Straight Out.
And you're going,
or maybe Turkish.
You're going to go around in the straight arrow costume just blaring da, 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 all over the convention floor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have nothing to plug, but you can find me and everybody else on the Grindbin on grindhousefilm.com. You can find us Twitter. We're at GrindPod. Facebook, the Grindbin Podcast. Guys, you can join our Patreon for $2 a month. You can hear all sorts of bonus episodes. We just recorded one that's already released a long time ago by the time this episode comes out, which was on Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling cartoon.
Because the entire month of February, Grindbin is for the children.
Yes, and this episode is in March. So none of that matters.
Scroll back a little bit. We just had, people join all the time. Every episode's new to someone.
That's true. People are joining all the time. And so it's great to have you on there. We're doing bonus episodes. And we have a weekly bonus episode. So we've been doing a lot of them lately. And
absolutely. And the biggest thing about joining our Patreon, you get to choose what movies we do here on the regular Grindbin, just like Turkish Superman, thanks to Huey.
Yes. And if you're on the Patreon, you can even join us for some episodes if you have the courage. We just recently had a couple patrons. We had Shane. He's come on twice. We had Faustus himself, the infamous Faustus, joined us for an episode on 1930s exploitation movies, which was a lot of fun. Joined Man and I. Guys, just join us on there. There's polls every month to pick movies. What was the movie they just picked for March was we're finally getting the Black Gestapo on the show, guys.
Man, the Susan Lucci of our Grindbin picks finally gets one.
But,
the Leonardo DiCaprio.
It beat out a movie that I thought for sure was going to win, which was Tracks. And if you've never seen the trailer or any clips from Tracks, holy shit. Go look it up.
We'll get to it for sure. And I think we've learned that a good rule to live by is if Mike thinks it's going to win, it is.
Oh, absolutely not. Because Viva Knievel won in February. And there's no reason that...
And if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and do so because it's great.
But guys, you can find us all over the place. And if you enjoy this podcast, please rate us 5 stars and give us a review on any podcast app you listen to. It really helps us out.
Absolutely. So yeah, join us for this ride because like the Olive Garden, when you're here, you're family and there's unlimited breadsticks.
Wow, I didn't think we'd end this episode with an Olive Garden commercial.
Yeah, I got us a sponsorship, you guys. I'm working on Blue Chew, but I got us Olive Garden. Hey, slave labor's great.
This episode is brought to you by Olive Garden's Endless Pasta Bowls, $7.99 now at your local Olive Garden.
I wish we could end on that, but instead, Bobby, use your panty vision.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Dad, I made the tea. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky got no real rhythm.
Hello, Mr. Man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
How the hell would women live? I'm horny. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.